Baby, he said he has something to do. He told me not to wait for him, but I saw him send a message. His phone was playing a video of him being intimate with another woman. I really don't understand what's going on. Why do people always do things that betray their partners on their wedding anniversaries? Is it really like what they portray in TV dramas? Do they have to pursue such excessive thrills? But he doesn't understand. When I smelled another woman's perfume on him, my heart just sank. It broke my heart. His good days are over. Dear, why are you sitting here daydreaming so early in the morning? Alexander pushed the door open. He saw me standing by the living room window. I was holding an open book, but I was lost in thought. I didn't sleep all night. He sighed and said, You stayed up late reading again last night, didn't you? You don't look too well. I'll make you a cup of tea to warm your stomach. Alexander put down his briefcase. Take off your tie. Your shoulders look broad. When I walked with him, little girls often steal glances at him. I'm pretty much like you. I watched him walk into the kitchen. My mind is filled with what happened last night. Someone sent me a video. It showed him talking to an unknown woman by the roadside. He even had his hand on her waist. I really don't want to believe it. Yesterday was our 3rd wedding anniversary. Alexander never forgets this date. But last night he called and said, Darling, I have something to take care of. I'll be back later. Don't wait for me. I hung up the phone. I put his favorite sunflower on the table, waiting until dawn. The flowers have wilted. I specially learned a new recipe. I wanted him to try it, but he didn't even come in. Alexander came over with a cup of hot tea and handed it to me. He smiled and said, Have some tea, wake up a bit. I took the tea, did not say anything. He paused for a moment. He squatted down and held my hand. He said softly, Dear, what happened last night was my fault. I couldn't be by your side, don't be sad. His hand was warm, but I caught a whiff of smoke from his cuff. He had quit smoking a long time ago. I looked up at him. I noticed his eyes were a bit red, as if he hadn't slept well. However, it must not be because of staying up late to work. Otherwise, why would he smell like perfume? It was still the kind I usually use. You don't need to worry about me, just go ahead and be busy. I gently took a sip of tea. My tone was calm. Alexander relaxed. He stood up and patted my head. That's good. I'm going to take a shower first. I'll go watch a movie with you in a bit. I nodded with a smile. Go wash up quickly. Don't catch a cold. When he turned to go to the bathroom, I saw a crumpled receipt peeking out from under his shirt. It looked like a receipt from some store. In the evening, Alexander came out after his shower. His hair was still damp. He slouched on the sofa. He patted the spot next to him and said, Come sit here. Let's have a good rest together tonight. He had a familiar scent of shampoo on him. It smelled refreshing. It made one unconsciously relax. I had just sat down. He placed his hand on my shoulder. He gently squeezed and said, I've been too busy with work lately. I've neglected you. I will definitely make it up to you tonight. I smiled. Just as I was about to respond, the phone on the table suddenly lit up. The vibration interrupted our conversation. You didn't answer the phone. I took a glance. It's nothing, don't mind it. He reached out to turn off the screen, but I already saw the name Sophia on it. I asked, Who is Sophia? His tone was very calm. Alexander's hand stopped in midair. He smiled awkwardly. Go ahead. Oh, she's a colleague. It might be about work again. He picked up his phone, stood up and went to the kitchen. I'll reply to a message. I'll be back soon. I watched his back. His fingers were typing quickly, as if he was in a hurry to explain something. Minutes later, he returned. He said with a smile, All set, dear. Let's get back to work. It's so late and they're looking for you. Is there something urgent? I casually asked. He was taken aback for a moment. He scratched his head and said, There are some issues with the company's project. She needs to confirm with me. I didn't ask much. I stood up and grabbed my coat. I'm going to buy something. You should sleep first. It's so late. He frowned and tried to stop me. It's okay. I'm just going out for some fresh air. I waved my hand. I walked straight out. I'm standing at the convenience store downstairs. I made a phone call. Help me look up a person. Her name is Sophia. She is related to Alexander. The sooner, the better. After hanging up, I looked across the street. Alexander was leaning on the balcony smoking. The glow of the cigarette flickered in the dark. We are clearly husband and wife, yet it feels like there's a street between us. Half an hour later, the phone rang. Hello, Emily. Sophia used to be colleagues with Alexander. 5 years ago, they started a business together, but it didn't succeed. After that, they went their separate ways. Sophia has recently returned here. She started her own small company. Alexander has been secretly helping her with client introductions. I also found out Sophia has a project that lacks funding. Alexander just transferred 500,000 to her a few days ago. I tightened my grip on the phone. I looked up at the balcony. Alexander was still smoking. My gaze was wandering. Let me check again. Did they meet behind my back recently? I said coldly. The next morning, I stood by the window. My fingers were holding an unlit cigarette. Alexander was about to go to work. After seeing me, he pretended to casually say, "Can you come back early tonight? We need to finish what we didn't complete yesterday. I have things to take care of. You should rest first." I picked up the car keys and turned to leave. Alexander frowned. He stood up and asked, "Where are you going, Alexander? Are you hiding something from me?" He quickly walked up to me, staring into my eyes. I stopped. I turned around and smiled at him. "You also have things you haven't told me." Upon hearing this, he averted his gaze. His fingers tightened on the hem of his shirt. "I was just asking casually. You go ahead and be busy. Come back early." I didn't say anything else. I nodded. I opened the door and left. I drove back to my hometown. My mom is a well-known entrepreneur in the city. I used to think my family was too strict, so I ran away to start my own business. Later, I met Alexander. He is both smart and capable. He also looks good. He has always been with me, starting from scratch. We slowly built up the company. I even entrusted him with financial management. I almost let him handle all financial matters. He always thought the company's success was solely due to his ability, but he didn't know. Many clients actually signed the contract because of my mother. When I got home, my mom was trimming the flower branches in the yard. She heard the footsteps. She didn't even look up. She simply said, "You're back." "Mom," I stood behind her. I gently called out, "I know all about your situation. That guy is not loyal to you. He doesn't deserve you at all." She cut off a withered branch. Her tone was calm. I kept my head down and said nothing. I remembered the late nights spent with Alexander revising plans. I once treated him sincerely. Even now, I want to believe him once more. "Mom, I want to give him another chance." My mom stopped the scissors in her hand. She turned around and looked at me seriously. "Olivia, you know what the difference is between you and me?" "I know." I forced a smile and shook my head. "I'm not as decisive as you are." She neither admitted it. I don't oppose it either, just sighed and said, "Olivia, you're too hesitant. Someone who wants to achieve great things cannot be so indecisive. I know, but this is his last chance. It's also my limit of acceptance. I hope you can keep your promise." She waved her hand and continued trimming the branches. I had an agreement with my mother before. If I went out to explore and was betrayed by someone I trusted, I would have to go home and take over the family business. Now, Alexander's betrayal affects not only our career, but also our relationship. I walked to the bottom of the apartment building. I saw a delivery person looking anxious with a bag. He said to me, "Miss, I can't get the delivery in here." I knocked on the door, but no one answered. "Do you know them?" He pointed at my home's door. My heart sank suddenly. It seemed like I understood something. I took the bag and said, "This is my home, just give it to me." The delivery person let out a sigh of relief. He handed me the bag and left. The bag contained 2 bottles of red wine and a box of exquisite pastries. I let out a hum. It hadn't been long since I left home. He couldn't wait any longer. He rang the doorbell. No one answered the door. This is my home's door, my own home. He thought he could block me by pretending not to see. I scanned my fingerprint. The door lock clicked open. As soon as the door was pushed open, a strange woman stood at the door. She was wearing a dress. Her gaze had a hint of seduction. As soon as she saw me, she clearly froze for a moment. Then she smiled and asked, "You must be Olivia." "Hello." I squinted my eyes. I immediately recognized her as Sophia. Alexander often spoke of her. He said she was his good assistant. Every time she is mentioned, his voice always carries an unmistakable happiness. "Dear, who is coming? Did you bring back the wine?" Alexander's voice came from the living room. It sounds very affectionate, as if that woman is the real mistress of the house. I tightened my grip on the bag. Smiling, I handed it to Sophia. "Sophia, this is what you ordered. I hope I didn't take too long." Alexander heard the noise and ran out. As soon as he saw me, his expression changed instantly. He stood there in a daze. Sophia raised her eyebrow. She took the bag, watching the commotion with great interest. "Why are you back? Didn't you say you had plans tonight?" Alexander snapped back to reality. His voice sounded a bit flustered, yet his feet instinctively moved closer to Sophia, as if to shield her. This action pierced my heart. I was still planning to give him a chance during the day. That's what I saw tonight. It's my fault for coming back too early. Sorry to disturb you all. I'm speaking calmly, but my eyes have turned cold. Alexander frowned. He forced a smile. What are you talking about? Sophia and I were just discussing a new project. Don't overthink it. Oh, I misunderstood. I nodded slightly. Since it's a misunderstanding, Sophia doesn't need to stay at the company anymore. I looked at her, feeling uneasy. Why did you do that? Alexander's eyes widened. His voice rose. His face was full of surprise. Just because I'm the boss of the company. I stared straight at him. I said slowly, Alexander, this group is under my control. Pack your things. Let's break up, break up. Alexander's eyes widened. He looked at me with a trembling voice. Olivia, just for this little thing, you want to break up with me? Yes, break up, I said calmly, holding the evidence he hid from me. But he still pretends to be innocent. Olivia, have you had someone else for a long time? That's why you're so eager to break up with me. Alexander crossed his arms and sneered, trying to frame me, saying I'm cheating. I glanced at Sophia, who was standing behind him. She was leaning against the door, enjoying the show. I couldn't help but laugh. Alexander, don't think that just because you feel this way, others do too. My heart sank. There was nothing left to cling to. Alexander's face turned red. He shouted at me, pointing, Olivia, don't go too far. You just don't trust me. Right, Sophia and I are just ordinary colleagues. Why do you have to suspect me like this? I looked at the new watch on his wrist. He said yesterday that he didn't have money to buy it. What he said really leaves one speechless. There's nothing more to discuss. This time, we must break up. I cannot accept deceit, and I don't want to drag this out any longer. Then let's part ways. How do we divide our things? Alexander suddenly changed his expression. His gaze was fierce, like a hungry wild dog. I noticed Sophia's reaction when she heard the word things. Her lips slightly curled up, the look that flashed in her eyes. It was exactly like Alexander's. This is what they call mutual exploitation. However, she still owes a large sum of debt and is waiting for money to save her. The man is unwanted by others. The money was also something she humbly begged this man for. I really don't understand what she has to be proud of. The apartment and savings are yours. I want to keep my shares in the company. I can only give you 5%. 5%, Alexander raised his voice. Olivia, I have been busy for you all these years. It's only worth 5%. You're being too stingy. Alexander, I founded the company with great effort. You only contributed a little. 5% is already worth 50 million. Don't be greedy. I stared at him coldly. I knew he was dragging it out to demand more money. After all, he thinks, the company needs me to manage everything inside and out. This matter has caused delays. I'm losing a lot of money every day. It would be better to satisfy him at once. Whether it's delayed or dealt with immediately, the result is still him taking advantage. No way. At least 20%. He had his hands on his hips. He looked very persistent. I frowned. I didn't want to get entangled any further. Then let's meet in court. You're just stalling for time. Alexander, you think I care about that little loss. After saying that, I walked away without looking back. He shouted from behind, Olivia, don't come at me hard without evidence. Evidence, I smiled, wait until court and she'll see the real evidence. Alexander was very tough in court. He insisted I present his affair evidence. I gave a signal to the assistant beside me. The large screen lit up immediately. A recording started playing. In the recording, he and Sophia were discussing how to secretly transfer the company's major clients to Sophia's new company in a cafe without any reservations. Alexander and Sophia exchanged glances. Their expressions froze instantly. Clearly, they didn't expect me to bring out this recording. You had someone monitor me. Alexander suddenly stood up. He stared at me angrily. Olivia, you've gone too far. This matter still requires monitoring. You two were chatting so lively. The guests next door complained that you were too loud. If someone didn't know better, they'd think you were at a market. They're haggling desperately over 2 dimes for cabbage. Sophia keeps her head down and doesn't speak. This matter has nothing to do with her directly. As long as Alexander gets the money, he can help Sophia pay off her debts. I've inquired about it. Sophia has been relying on ingratiating herself with wealthy people for years. Now she's turned to Alexander. It's nothing more than wanting to rely on him to change her situation. But Alexander naively thinks that Sophia genuinely cares for him. In the end, I won the lawsuit. I really don't understand. How could I start a business with such a naive person back then and genuinely trust him? Could it be just because of love Alexander received the apartment deposit and 5% of the shares? The total value is considerable, but he wants more. I had just reached the parking lot when Alexander caught up and blocked my way. Sophia stood beside him, her hand resting on his waist, smiling affectionately with a proud look on her face. Olivia, Alexander walked over aggressively. You will regret this without me. The company will eventually go under. All those clients were brought in by me. They only recognize me. If you know what's good for you now, give me more shares. I might consider taking over. Otherwise, just wait for bankruptcy. He looked smug. He felt he had controlled the company for years. Clients and resources are all in his hands. Sophia listened to this. Her eyes revealed a hint of desire. The corners of her mouth curled slightly, revealing a set of neat teeth. I had my hands in my pockets. For the first time, I found him so ridiculous. Alexander, let's wait and see. Without you, can I survive without me? How well can you do anyway? A black Rolls-Royce Phantom slowly pushed through the crowd. It stopped in front of me like a well-behaved big fish. I opened the car door. I turned my head to look at him. Alexander was stunned, called me loudly. Olivia, you gave me the house and the savings. Where did this car come from? It's actually a Rolls-Royce. Where did you get the money to buy such an expensive car? I ignored her, got in the car and closed the door. The car drove away. He was surprised by such a small matter. He needs to be more cautious in the future. Returned to the Johnson house. My mom was sitting in the rattan chair in the living room. There was a cup of tea beside her. A dark blue coat was placed on the table, as if she already knew I would come back. This is prepared for you. She pointed at the clothes. Her tone was very calm. I nodded, sitting down beside her. Mom, I broke up with Alexander, I know. She took a sip of tea, not surprised at all. Olivia, you need to remember, someone who has deceived you once will deceive you a second time. When you first notice the problem, that's when you should separate immediately. She has always been decisive and efficient in her work. I used to blame her for being too indifferent. Now I realize she was right. Mom, I understand now. There's a business gathering tonight. You need to go by yourself. The attendees are all notable local figures. You've been struggling out there for so long. It's time to come back and settle down. I took a look at that coat. I agreed. She is right. This is the path I should take. Before the gathering, I sat in the car, looking at the neon lights outside. My mom has already gone ahead. I just finished up at the company and rushed over. Alexander sold his 5% stake and got $50 million. I heard he's planning to start his own business. As soon as I got out of the car, I heard a familiar voice. Olivia, what a coincidence to run into you here. Looking back, Alexander is linking arms with Sophia. They both dress very fashionably. They look particularly well-matched. I could tell at a glance. Her dress is of poor quality. There are loose threads on the edges. Alexander's leather shoes are also glaringly shiny. It's obvious they are counterfeit. His clothes were always chosen by me before. Now he's fallen to wearing this cheap stuff. It's one thing for the two of them to be together. They still want to pretend to mix in higher circles. Olivia, have you been having a bit of a hard time lately? Your clothes don't seem to fit well anymore. Sophia shot me a glance. She smiled widely. Alexander was stifling laughter beside her. I looked at her slightly frayed dress. I said softly, Sophia, turn right when you enter. At the end is the staff lounge. Go there and find a decent dress to change into. You're like this now. It's not just affecting you. That's all I have to say. I just walked straight in. As soon as I entered the venue, everyone looked over at us. A few old clients recognized Alexander. Someone shouted, Isn't that Alexander? What a coincidence to run into you here. Are you looking for a new employer? A familiar face teased with a smile. I smiled. I didn't say anything. I turned and left. Alexander and Sophia immediately approached. They took over the conversation. Hi, John. We're planning to open a new store. You must come and show your support. Michael, you know my capabilities. I'm confident I can achieve great results again. I hope to receive your support. Alexander was moving around everywhere. Rumor has it he spent quite a bit of money to get an invitation to get in. He wants to use this event to build connections. It would be best if he could get close to the Johnson family. As long as the Johnson family is willing to support him, he could rise rapidly. What a pity. He chose the wrong direction. Mrs. Johnson has arrived. Mr. Johnson has arrived. Someone shouted out. I looked up. I saw my mom walking in. Her hair is already a bit gray, but her presence still makes people hesitant to breathe loudly. People around immediately gathered around. They handed over their business cards eagerly. Everyone wanted to get close to her. Someone whispered, Mrs. Johnson, I have a new project. "Can I talk to you, Mrs. Johnson? Give me a minute, just 1 minute." Alexander and Sophia also wanted to join in, but there were just too many people. They didn't even have a chance to speak. It seemed a bit awkward. "Everyone." My mom suddenly spoke up. Her voice wasn't loud, but it made the whole room quiet. She said, "This gathering tonight is partly to catch up with everyone. Secondly, I want to introduce my daughter to you all." Everyone was surprised to hear that. Alexander suddenly looked up. His eyes were filled with shock. The future of the Johnson family has always been a secret. It will only be revealed during the official handover. It seems my mom is now preparing for me to take over the Johnson family's affairs. "Are you Olivia? I've heard about him for a long time. I really want to meet him." Someone spoke up first. Others quickly followed suit. My mom glanced at Alexander. Her gaze was icy, like a knife. Alexander and Sophia were confused, but they were too scared to move in this situation. They were sweating profusely. "My daughter has been working hard outside these years. She hasn't stayed by my side all the time. She has also made a name for herself. Today, she finally returned to the Johnson family. I'm very happy." My mom finished speaking. She glanced at me lightly, then looked at the others. Her gaze is something others cannot understand. Only I am clear about it. She intends to formally let me step in. Mrs. Johnson's daughter is indeed exceptional. Mrs. Johnson is usually too modest. Everyone started laughing along. The atmosphere suddenly became lively. "This is our Olivia. It's really worrisome. She runs a small company outside. As a result, she ended up in quite a predicament. Now she finally understands a mother's heart. She is finally willing to come home. So from today on, the Johnson family's business will be managed by her. I want her to take over." As soon as these words were spoken, the room fell silent. Everyone was stunned. They all know me. After all, my company is quite famous locally. But no one expected me to give up such a big support from the Johnson family to start my own business. Even fewer know that I am the heir of the Johnson family. Alexander and Sophia stood at the back of the crowd. I saw their faces suddenly turn pale. He stepped back, accidentally bumped into the table beside him, made a noise. Everyone turned to look at them. Everyone in the hall knows about my relationship with Alexander. Now their gaze towards him has a deeper meaning, mostly mocking for an unknown woman, giving up such a strong backing from the Johnson family, who wouldn't feel regret. It's not just regret, it's simply foolish. Sophia stood there motionless, her eyes darting left and right, seemingly trying to find a way to escape. I walked over with a smile. To them I said, "Alexander, Sophia, long time no see. What a coincidence, we meet again so soon. I'm Olivia." My tone was casual. I brought up what they had said earlier as if it were casual chit-chat, but it felt different to others listening. People around were whispering. Alexander actually gave up such strong support from the Johnson family. If it were me, I would have regretted it so much that I wanted to jump off a building. Alexander heard this. His face turned even paler. He wanted to reach out to befriend me, but I turned to the side and dodged. "Sorry, I suddenly didn't want to have physical contact with someone I'm not familiar with," I said with a smile. Alexander awkwardly pulled his hand back. He forced a smile. "It's something Olivia said. All our previous misunderstandings don't matter anymore. I've always wanted to collaborate with the Johnson family. I hope Olivia can give me a chance." My mom told me a straightforward truth. Making money isn't easy. You have to endure everything. He was unwilling. But for the new store, I could only compromise. Sophia didn't say a word. She just focused on playing with her phone. It seemed like she didn't want to participate, afraid I would be upset. Today, Sophia is unusually quiet. That's really rare. I glanced at her. She couldn't help but shiver. Her eyes were full of a desire to escape. In front of Olivia, I didn't dare to speak recklessly at all. Just as Alexander was about to speak, I immediately stopped him. "Alexander, Sophia, this is a private gathering of the Johnson family. It's not convenient to entertain outsiders. I won't keep you any longer. Please feel free to leave." I coldly said, "Please go back." Alexander gritted his teeth in anger. Sophia tugged at his arm. The two had no choice but to leave reluctantly. I watched them leave. A chorus of flattery immediately erupted around. Olivia is truly capable. In just a few years, she has grown the company so large. I have always wanted to collaborate with you. Olivia, this is our company's proposal. I hope you can take a look. This gathering was well organized. My mom nodded at me, showing a satisfied expression. The next day, the news is reporting everywhere. Shock. It turns out that the well-known company owner Olivia is the heir of the Johnson family. She has two identities on her own. The former boss of the Johnson family said, "The daughter's company is not very large. Now she is a new force in the local business circle, but it's still the Johnson family's world." I casually flipped through the newspaper. There was also a group photo from last night under the headline. Alexander and Sophia looked a bit uncomfortable. Only I remained very calm. Suddenly, my phone rang. "Hello, Olivia. Alexander wants to see you. The assistant is speaking." My expression darkened. Last night, the assistant said, "Sophia stole all the startup funds from Alexander's store, and she has disappeared. Now Alexander has nothing left. He can't find Sophia either. Reporting to the police is useless. After all, they are business partners. The money is shared. At most, it's an internal conflict. Let him in." I calmly finished speaking. He hung up the phone. I knew Sophia would run, but I didn't expect him to move so quickly. When Alexander walked in through the door, he looked much more haggard. His eyes were red and swollen, with dark circles under them. It was obvious he hadn't slept all night. He called out to me hoarsely, "Olivia, Sophia is missing." That's what he said. "She suddenly knelt down. Please help me. She used to be in great glory, but now she has nothing." This disparity was hard for him to accept. "I understand." I leaned back. I said in a flat tone, "But what does this have to do with me, Alexander? You chose this yourself, so you have to bear the consequences yourself." He slammed his head against the ground. He even bled from it. But so what? I worked hard for the company, leaving early and coming home late every day. I'm so busy that I can't even eat. Drinking at social events has caused my stomach to bleed. But he's doing fine. He's been dancing with Sophia at our house the whole time. The pain and suffering I've experienced. Now he needs to feel it 100-fold. "Olivia, please save me. I've lost everything. Only you can help me. For the sake of our past connection, help me." Alexander is kneeling at my office door. His voice is trembling with tears. I furrow my brows and stand up. I step back to the window. I create some distance from her. "Olivia, you really dislike me that much? You clearly said you would always be with me." Alexander asks me with red eyes, as if I had betrayed him. "Alexander, I did say those things. I really thought that way. But you messed everything up. I can't be with someone who isn't committed to their feelings." I stared at him with a blank expression. He said while crying, "I know I was wrong. Olivia, let's make up. You helped me once. I will definitely be wholehearted with you from now on." "Okay." He looked up at you. His gaze was sincere. "No, since the moment you betrayed me, we are completely finished." I picked up the coffee on the table. I took a gentle sip. My eyes gazed out at the street outside. "I once promised you to live well with you. I will never make mistakes again. You believe me this once." I put down the cup. I walked up to him. I squatted down and said softly, "Do you remember the day you met Sophia? It happened to be our 3rd wedding anniversary. I specifically canceled the meeting. I wanted to go back early to accompany you." Alexander was suddenly stunned. His lips trembled. Teardrops keep falling down. "Olivia, I know I was wrong." I stand up. I can't be bothered to look at him. Just call the assistant directly. "Are we sending him away? Get him out of here." Alexander seems to want to say something, but I've already turned my back. The assistant called 2 security guards. They escorted him out. He struggled and shouted a few things, but in the end, he was still taken away. During the struggle, he kicked off a broken leather shoe. It was the pair he wore at the party that day. HMPH. What do you call this? Cinderella. She doesn't even have a glass slipper and still wants to go to the princess's ball. Later, I heard that the creditors found Sophia. They discovered she had spent all the money long ago because she and Alexander were partners in the business. Legally, they couldn't sue her for fraud. In the end, they could only let it go like this. Alexander went completely bankrupt, but Sophia didn't leave. She kept pestering him for money. When she couldn't get money, she started hanging out with other men. Later on, the assistant told me Alexander had a mental breakdown. He doused his rented room in gasoline and set it on fire. He burned to death with Sophia. After I heard that, I leaned back. I lightly tapped my fingers on the table. There wasn't a ripple in my heart. This isn't punishment from heaven. It's the consequence of his own actions.